This is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about Disney, a little bit of culture war stuff, and their uh, company findings. They talked a little bit about why they're losing money, and they're pointing the finger to some culture war stuff. So, with this bit of understanding of what's going on, does that mean that they're going to just get a clue and make some changes? I don't know if that's the case, but we'll take the win where we can. But on the flip side, I think there's also a lot of crazy stuff going on in this country. I saw this horrific video that I suppose I will share with you guys of this high school that was caused a riot because they were demanding that their teacher be fired because she visited a pro-Israel rally. So if we don't have if we don't establish like clear moral lines again, and everything is relative in this structure of oppressed and oppressor, and you pick your team and then you get to act wild and everyone will cover for you, then we're going to be in some deep crap, like beyond like the Israel Gaza situation and stuff. That, that'll be news for a while. But the issue is much deeper, especially on our side of the world. So we'll talk about that. And also, some of the hostages have come home, and the media have reported this in like the most bizarre sort of way. So our media is just trash. So we'll talk about those things today. But before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. It does cost to stream, it costs to run my website, all that stuff. So you guys can support. I do very much appreciate you. Check out different merchandise that we have available, blacktnews.com. I had showed a picture the other day, or posted a picture of me in my shirt that says I'm not the victim you're looking for, and people are like, oh my gosh, I love that shirt. That shirt is available on blacktnews.com. If I could find it in my stack of stuff. Oh, here we go. The I'm not the victim you're looking for. So that's available on blacktnews.com. And people, like the black tea mug, that's available on the website as well, along with other stuff. Like we got the goat hoodie and goat t-shirt, and other stuff. We got this defeat Joe Biden, denounce white supremacy shirt with a list of some of his racist stuff on the back. Be better, not bitter. So check out different merch at the store. I'm sure you guys will find something you like. Also, you guys can check out my books and stuff on Amazon if you'd be so inclined. I have them in paperback. I have them in ebook. I have historical fiction fantasy. I've got children's chapter books as well. Just all kinds of different stuff you guys can check out. And I hope you guys do appreciate those of you who have and have liked what I put out and left good reviews. So thank you. Very much appreciate it. So we haven't seen each other since Thanksgiving. So I want to say I hope you guys had a nice Thanksgiving. I wrote a post on Thanksgiving, I think, and about, I'm grateful for lots of things. I gave a long closing on Wednesday, listing some of the reasons why I'm grateful. And most people responded, well to it, and, thanked me, I thanked them, because it was mostly directed toward my audience and in my growth, and just being appreciative of out of all the people you take time to listen to. You take time to listen to me, for whatever reason. So but one thing I said that someone took offense to, I guess, I said I'm grateful to live in the United States at a time that is more tolerant and accepting than a time than my ancestors had to deal with. And someone said, "It's not more tolerant. What are you talking about?" And I don't know what the heck that's supposed to mean because it's so blatantly false. And I'm like, I'm black. Like, what time, other time do you think I should be have been born in that would have been more tolerant and and accepting? Now, that doesn't mean that we are without issues here in the United States of America right now. And there's not, I mean, there's a ton of like racism abound. There's people who push racism. Racism is a business. Um it's profitable for people, but they'll just push racism while claiming to be a victim. So it's a big racket, and there's a lot of people complaining about the problem who obviously don't want to solve it. So I'm, and people say stuff to me all the time, and it's like in the that's racist or whatever. So I'm not pretending that there's not intolerance or racism or other stuff today. However, if you really have an opinion that the US isn't better than it has been, just talk to your grandparents or your parents and listen to just some stories that they have. Um, sure, I have stories of people being, saying crazy stuff on the internet that is racist, and people who might say something in person. A lot of people won't say stuff in person to me. I'm a big lady. I think I'm, you know, I think I'm kind of intimidating maybe in person to some people, but so people will say stuff online, sure. Um i- is that, well, when I listen to like stories that my dad has stories where authorities tried to like push in situations where it could have been dangerous, where his life was on the line, and he had to pray like, Lord, you got to do something. Not that he was doing something bad or illegal. I'm um and he's very light. It still doesn't matter. He's still black enough. So people pretending like the world isn't better today, and I'm not saying that incidents like that don't happen today, but people have a lot more stories, and the frequency rate was much higher back in the day. Or my grandmother who passed away during the pandemic, she was 102. Do you know about like 100 years ago, Democrats still had on their ballots party of white supremacy? That was on US ballots to vote for a political party saying that we're the party of white supremacy. Now 100 years sounds like a long time ago. But that was just a lifetime for my grandparent. And my great grandmother, her grandfather left slavery and then became a preacher and stuff. So it's, you know, we're a very young nation that's come a very long way. So I don't understand where else people would suspect that would be better. For I'm 34 years old. Like, where would you place me to say that, hey, I think I'm living in the best time I could possibly live in right now. Um, I wouldn't want to go back if it was just back a couple years, maybe like a couple years in the 80s or something, because I have siblings. My oldest sibling was born in 81, but like any old, like 50s, no, 60s, no, 70, I don't know. Like, praise God to the people who survived those years, but I like, so many people living today are just so ungrateful of the progress that's been made. One of my favorite songs, and it's a lot of people on the right had I don't know if it's one of my favorite songs, but there's a lot of really good songs. Most of my favorite songs are probably gospel songs. So I mean, I guess it is a hymn, but um I really like the song as far as like patriotic sort of songs to sing some more. Lift Every Voice makes the list. But a lot of people on the right were pushing back, because people refer to it as a black national anthem. Now, I think that's more kind of an affectionate nickname, not like we're ready to go start our own nation or something like that. It's not that intense, but yes, people have been calling that like for as long as I can remember. Um, but people sang it during the Super Bowl, so get ready because that'll probably happen again. But in that song, it talks about sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us, sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. So, in other words, we've learned through everything that we've been through that our faith is strong enough to get us through. And when we look around at how far we've come, we can have hope because of how far we've come. So yeah, to the people out there who just are like, no, America sucks and it's worse now, or just grow up. Like seriously, have conversations. Have you ever talked to a relative before about how some things work? Now, there's some people who are older who like lived in some kind of pocket. And they're like, well, I never saw any racism and stuff, and maybe that's true, or maybe you weren't paying attention. Maybe you didn't know. But I can tell you that a lot of older people that I talk to, they talk about today's generations, and they're just kind of baffled at the conversations that people have about like when they pretend that there's been no sort of progress in our nation's history of like race relations and stuff. It's just bonkers. But anyway, that was just like one person I saw that loved to comment like that. But to everyone else, thank you for your kind words, and I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. By the way, speaking of Thanksgiving, I saw this meme that PETA shared, that was pretty disgusting, but the community notes got them pretty good. So let me just see if I can find it, pull it up really quick. Yeah, I got it. So so PETA is the organization that's for trying to save all the animals and not eat them and stuff. Which, by the way, I read that PETA doesn't take very good care of the animals that they rescue, and they do end up dying and stuff. So they had this horrific site here. We're lucky turkeys would never do this to us. You don't have to do it to them either. And I don't know why this human being like has all of a sudden their legs are kind of like turkey legs or chicken legs or bird legs or whatever. But pretty disturbing here. But I get the point. However, they got community noted. Turkeys are not vegetarians. Turkeys eat mice, lizards, frogs, and just about anything they can fit in their mouth. If turkeys were larger or had the technological means to farm and eat humans, their current diet reveals they likely would. So that was a great community notes there. I don't understand people who I don't know, pretend animals aren't vicious and terrifying at times. Uh, like there's this one channel that I follow on TikTok that just reveals the most interesting like animal stuff. Animal kingdom is very strange. My sister likes to send me interesting TikToks about that stuff too. When I was researching for my book, I was looking for it, but I don't have it one near me. The Dark Mermaid, and just researching about the ocean and different fish and stuff that lives down there. I'm like, this is a cruel world. So very, very, very cruel, weird, gruesome sort of world. So it's nice if you care for the animals, but oh boy, just grow up. That like that was a you obviously don't love turkeys enough to know enough information about them to know that you were going to get owned pretty bad. But maybe it's for the engagement. Maybe it's for the engagement. Who knows? Um anyway, last thing I want to share about Thanksgiving before I move on. There was this video. This came out before Thanksgiving, but someone posted a video talking about they wanted to misgender their family so they would see how it is. It's a very short TikTok. Um, and this TikTok just really made me appreciate the fact that my family isn't weird, or at least not my immediate family. Anyway. Yeah. So I think it was Libs of TikTok had reposted that, and they're like, "Why do they always look like that?" I don't know always, but good chance. Now, what's so crazy about the misgender thing? Well, first of all, like I'm glad that I'm very happy that I live peaceably with my family. I mean, we don't all live together in the same house anymore, but like we went over to my parents' house. We ate, we talked, we watched Home Alone. Because my um niece and nephews had started watching that. They had fell asleep when they were staying over at my parents' house, so we finished watching Home Alone, and we do we watch anything else? I think we watched an episode of Frasier, like the new Frasier, because there was like a free pilot episode out, so we watched that. It's pretty good. We were huge on Frasier. It's one of my favorite comedies, one of my favorite sitcoms. Probably my favorite. I can't think of one that's I like more and have rewatched more and still enjoy as much as like Frasier. So it's probably Frasier. Um and we just hung out and talked and had a good time. We the only time we did argue was there's a game, because my sister always says that's debatable. So there's a game I saw it like in Five Below or something, and then I was like, oh, so I bought it for my sister's like this basket that we gave her for her birthday, and so we played the game that's debatable, and the game is there's something that is like a question or something, and then there's an item card, like your item card, like one of my item cards was like AirPods, and then the question card was like this should be a human right or something, and so you had to match your item card to whatever was best, and if two people put their card down, then you had to debate. So that those were our debates. So we had a pretty good time. I did not win, if you are curious. I was close, but my cards weren't the best. So and my sister Angelina, she was like, man, she got the gift of preaching or something, because she was just like, she was great. And then people were rating off the arguments, but also how you made the argument, and I'm a little more chill, though I was extra at some points, but we just had fun. So I'm so grateful that this weirdness doesn't exist. Now, to the whole misgender thing, to the people upset when someone misgenders you. If I call you a girl, a woman, then you are biologically that, which makes you so. And I don't adhere to the gender ideology stuff, but I'm just addressing you as you're supposed to be, in my opinion. Uh, that's me being true to truth and my ethics and so on. If you go out of your way to purposely misgender someone so they see how it is or what it feels like, you are betraying your ethic, because your ethic is people should be addressed how they want to be addressed. So you are being a hypocrite. No one else is being a hypocrite. It's just you. It's just you being the hypocrite in this situation. So, and I know there's people like this that feel like I'm gonna really give it to you. I was on a TikTok live one night, and someone was really mad. It was this trans person, and then they started that they just didn't start misgendering. They started calling me a dog and other kind of stuff like that. Just to it was a dude being so rude. But I just and it was funny. It was kind of like we had a Ben Shapiro sort of moment when he was like, um, talking to Zoe Tur or whatever, and he said, "What are your can we discuss your genetics, sir?" And people were so mad at Ben for saying that, but they didn't say anything when Zoe Tur was like, "If you keep this up, I'm going to send you home in an ambulance." And it was like there's one thing that was clearly more pressing than the other, and but they just came at Ben. And so they didn't care, like all the rude stuff that the person said to me. They were just upset that I wouldn't call him a she. Anyway, people are strange, but I just decided not to have too much of a reaction to it because I knew they were trying to get under my skin. But if me addressing you how I feel like you're supposed to accurately be addressed, if that's what I'm doing, and you want to go out of your way to play tit for tat, again, you're the hypocrite in that situation. By the way, most people they get over misgendering really quick. It's not a big deal. It just depends on the circumstance. Like one time, it was winter. I got on I put on a heavy winter coat and a hat, and I was still looking kind of rough. I was just rushing out to get some Cadobas. And then, as I went there, and it was like, "Hey, what do you want?" I'm like, "I want a burrito on white," and they like, "Okay, sir, what?" And they looked up and like, "Oh, and they were embarrassed because from a second glance they could see that I was a woman, and then there was that initial like, and I was like, "Girl, you came out the house looking like a hot mess. So whose fault is that?" So it's just like, it's fine. It's like whatever. And it just was what it was. So and then I got my food and I went home and ate my burrito. And it was that simple. There's this one dude on TikTok. I've seen a couple of his videos, but one he had him going to different restaurants and different waiters calling him sir. And dude looks like a sir. Dude looks like a sir. He's obviously trying to not look like a sir, but he obviously looks like a sir. And he when he was addressed as a sir by the waiters, he would call for like the manager and you know complain, and then he would acknowledge like, I don't think they're doing it on purpose, but it's like a knife in my heart every time that they do it. And it was multiple restaurants where he recorded himself doing it. I'm like, is this literally just happened this many times, or is this just for clicks and you set up and stuff, which I don't understand why a restaurant would set themselves up like that and get like criticism online. um I No one has to affirm that I'm a woman, you know um so if someone really wanted to go ahead and misgender me to be a tool, they again, you're betraying your ethics and lying, so you have at it. I'm still gonna be here as a woman the whole time, So, get help, I guess, is how I will end that segment. But again, I hope you guys had a good holiday. I had one, and now we're gearing toward Christmas, picking out Christmas songs and things that we'll do in church and other stuff like that. So, we've already shifted the gears. So the countdown is imminent. So anyway, let's move on. I want to quickly just play this video of sweet moment of a daughter being returned home to her father. Now, I didn't play this video of I don't remember if I did or not. But there's a viral video of this father having an interview with Gayle King, and he's talking about how upset he is because his daughter is kidnapped, and then she's just like, well, what do you think about what's going on in Palestine, and the response and the politics of it? Don't you think it's political? And he's like, I don't know anything about politics. He's like, I just want my daughter. And he talked about how he couldn't sleep and how he'll like drink a little bit to help try to ease his mind and stuff, but it was really kind of an inappropriate moment from Gayle. And there's been other videos of this father just like heartbroken. So I was just glad to see that he got his daughter back. So still plenty of people in captivity, and I gotta say, some of the takes from the media is, I mean, the media has had some bad takes, um but gosh, the takes are awful. The people who they've swapped, the 150 prisoners for the 50 Israelis, the prisoners have ki- attempted to kill people, have killed people, ex- stabbed people, tried to explode cars, attacked IDF soldiers, other stuff like that. Um, so it's not like you're swapping these people for like babies, toddlers. It's really not the same, not at all in the least bit. Let me show you a couple of things that the media is posting that's just really bizarre. Um, 2 dozen hostages are freed as aid heads into Gaza. Like that's like the headline of the story. Um, and they have here a happy, Palestinian terrorist draped in a Hamas flag. So that's a little strange there. You know, that's what they decided to highlight, but there's more. There's more. There's one from the AP. That's a pretty. Oh, here's New York Times. A disfigured woman whose case has become well known is among the Palestinians released. Um, she's disfigured because she tried to blow some people up. That's why she's disfigured. And by the way, Israel's paid for like 2 of her reconstructive surgeries, so she's happy to be out. But I guess who wouldn't be happy to be out? But again, these are people who they've traded for like babies and stuff. Um, so there's that. So so bizarre. Oh, here's the AP one. Palestinian families rejoice over release of minors and women in wartime prisoner swap. Like that's how you do your headline. That's how you do your headline. Sure, there's like some young people, minors, who were being held, and they also tried to stab people too. Again, like trading terrorists for babies, like, and it's bizarre, and there's been a lot of viral stuff of people sharing um news of people being let go but not exactly explaining why they were arrested, being detained. And I know some people push back, they're like, Israel's been holding such and such prisoners. I'm like, they try to kill people, they're attacking people, they're, we arrest people who, well, we should, we don't do it as often, I guess, as we should nowadays. But stabbing people who stab people, and shouldn't exactly be on the streets. If that's their goal. um I don't know what to do about this media, guys. So much. Can you imagine like looking back in history at like the news reports and all this stuff, and someone being like, but the news said this, and stuff just being so skewed. I think the UN, was it the UN or no, Human Rights Watch, I think just admitted recently, like this weekend, that the hospital where they said Israel bombed and 500 died, like they just admitted that it wasn't Israel that did that. There's just so much crazy headline stuff that, if someone looks back at all the stuff and they look at the newspapers and what was printed and not printed, and like what would be their skewed perception of reality. And does that make you think about maybe what we don't know from the past? There's always such like a skew on stuff. I mean, when you take like some histories classes and stuff, they do like teach you about particular well, I don't know, I guess I can't say this of every history class, but they should be teaching you like what kind of bias is built into um the government and whatnot that might be skewing the different narratives that are coming out. You know, like an example that I'll use is like, Richard the Third, like how there was like propaganda with the tutors with him and stuff about how cruel and whatnot Shakespeare and other people portrayed him under like tutor rule, that perhaps probably wasn't the case, but history is told by the victors, I suppose. But I don't know, but I don't know why um people are deciding to report the way that they're reporting this moment right now, because it's only leading to more insanity. So there was a school, Hillcrest High, where these students just had a riot and tried to demand that a teacher got fired because she attended a march, and these people like recorded it, and like they're just I don't know. People record all kinds of crazy things nowadays and just have no shame. Absolutely no shame. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna turn the music down because it's one I'm assuming copyrighted music that'll probably get me flagged, and it's got a lot of bad words and stuff in it. So sorry, I didn't get it fast enough. But yeah, they're you know they're rioting. You guys probably seen this over the weekend, heard about it, and tearing up stuff. And she had to, like, she was locked in her classroom and stuff. They were trying to like force her to be fired because she went to a Israel march. And people put this stuff together, put on TikTok like they're, doing something for civilization, for or the greatness of the world. And I just can't imagine embarrassing my mama like this. I can't imagine it. I know I say that a lot, but when I see like different crime and stuff that the kids are doing, I'm just like, I wouldn't want people to think that my parents didn't raise me right. You know? But there's just no kind of built-in morality. There's just we got to bring back shame. Cuz this is crazy. But the danger of so much moral equivalence on matters when there's a clear kind of right and a clear wrong, and you can have your opinion about Israel but prior to October 7th or whatever. However, what Hamas did was insane and barbaric and disgusting and terrorism. But there's some people who won't say that. There was a rally in Dearborn before like Israel even launched their counterattack and stuff, where they're like, Hamas isn't terrorist and we shouldn't be intimidated, and make them, acknowledge them as terrorists. And then another speaker got up and said, we're not violent people, but when you have 75 years of occupation, then nothing is unprovoked. And it's like, oh, so what, they deserved it? It was just retaliation, Norman Finkelstein, who was on Candace Owens' show, it was her last interview before she went on maternity leave. Don't know how long she'll be on maternity leave, but he wrote the day of the massacre that it warmed his heart, warmed his soul, that the Jewish oppressors were finally getting humbled. And he also wrote about how you can't just easily condemn Hamas because they've been living in captivity under the Jewish oppressors, and so they don't see a past, they don't have a past, they don't have a present, they don't have a future. And when you're out of those options, then how can you really judge someone? Easy, because there's right and wrong, and it's wrong to kidnap babies and behead children and adults, and or throw grenades in houses, and to go after civilians in the way that they did, to sexually assault women in the way that they did. Like there's plenty clear standards, but we're living in a world where people don't want to acknowledge that there's some kind of objective morality, and that it's subjective. And like I'll get into a lot of discussions about abortion or something, and they'll say like abortion is wrong. Or like, well, I don't believe that your subjective opinion of like morality is subjective. And then you can ask like, well, do you think what Hitler did was wrong? And then they're like backed into a corner because then they can't say that Hitler was wrong. They could just say that's just someone's opinion. Now, some people will try to recant or something. But a lot of people bite the bullet and just be like, "Yep, that's an opinion. It's not objectively immoral what happened in the Holocaust." Um, so when everyone can have a reason and be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Like people will justify him, and people are justifying Hamas. It's a very easy like these dudes are wrong. By the way, Elon Musk went to Israel and he was shown the feature video that they've been showing different news organizations, and I guess Gal Gadot and other people have showed. Um, and he said after going and witnessing the spots where the massacres happened and actually watching the footage of it, which the footage exists because the terrorists came in with GoPros and there's surveillance footage and stuff that they uploaded themselves. They wanted it to be known. They came in with photographers to take the photos, and then our mainstream media paid these people for their photos because apparently they were, and some of them, I guess, were already associated with them anyway doing work. But he said it was definitely an emotionally difficult day seeing the places where people were murdered and also watching a video where the killers are jubilant celebrating the murder of innocents, in a very disturbing act. He said we need to do everything possible to stop the hatred. I spoke with the Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I think there are things that need to happen in Gaza. First thing, there is no choice but to kill those who insist on murdering civilians, and the second thing is to change education so the new generation of the murderers will not receive training to be murderers. Um, yeah, those are important things. Whether people are gonna allow that to happen, who knows? I mean, Israel's still pretty like we're gonna the pause to get our for the prisoner swap. That's not the end of things. We're gonna continue to go fight, but it's clear that they're getting pressure from the international community, and a lot of people are trying to make them lose uh, the public opinion war, so that pressure continues to mount on them to stop. But if you're calling for a ceasefire, nobody likes. Well, I'm not gonna. I guess some people like war, but overall, I would say people aren't too fond of war, the consequences of war, and people who die in war, especially when civilians get caught up in the crossfire. Um, but if you are calling for a ceasefire and before Hamas like totally surrenders or totally annihilated, you're the reality is that you're just asking for more Jews to be dead in the future because Hamas has said we will commit another October the 7th. Israel, it shouldn't exist. It doesn't even make sense that it exists. That they don't want just Gaza to be free or the West Bank to be free. It's river to the sea, you know, um, and they have an ideological bent to wipe out the Jews. So that's the reality of the situation. And I keep saying I wouldn't want to live with a monster at the foot of my bed that wants to eat my children. And a couple things you could do. You can either leave or you can slay the monster. Or you could stay there, be eaten, you know? I guess those are the options, the three options. And so Israel's like, we're gonna go slay the monster. Um, whether at the end of the day will they be successful? I don't I don't know. You know, I just know that if the same thing happened to the U.S., we would not take lectures. We would not take lectures. So anyway, I want to talk about Disney for a moment. Get to the culture war stuff. So this article that I'm reading from, it was posted in the Hill, but I'm just going to read it off of the author's Substack because he reposted it on a Substack. It's from Jonathan Turley. So Disney is not doing well, hasn't been doing well for a minute. So it seems like they're having some, I don't know, self reflection on the issue a little bit. Does that mean that just because there's people who have acknowledged why they're losing some money, that they are going to have that trickle down? No. No. Not at all the least bit. They have plenty of people who work at Disney who are not woke, who have loved the company and stuff. There was a after the parental rights and education bill drama happened, there was like a collective letter from people who are anonymous or whatever, but within Disney, that wrote like a letter to saying like, we please stop, like we're part of this company, we like this company too, but this ideology is creating a toxic environment stuff. But there's a lot of people within Disney, like the different writers and creatives who pressured Disney to get involved in the parental rights and education fight, and wanted Disney to, because at first Disney was like, if you're not familiar with parental rights and education bill, that was a bill in Florida where they said, hey, you cannot teach gender identity or sexual stuff about sexual orientation. Not, they didn't say about like gay stuff specifically. They just said stuff about sexual orientation and gender identity stuff until third grade, or it ages older, grades older, if it's in an inappropriate sort of manner and stuff. And but the most important part of the bill, and which by the way, most people, even Democrats, they actually read the text of the bill. They're like, well, that actually makes sense. And but the most important thing was, you cannot keep information from parents regarding the well-being of their children. And there was good reason for this law, because there were actually teachers and other folks setting up secret sort of plans for kids and their trans identities, and telling them to lie to their parents, or they're living this double life. They're encouraging these kids to have dishonesty between them and their parents. And if someone has gender dysphoria, and you're affirming them, you are treating them for their mental condition. And in one case, it led to a young woman trying to hang herself, and her father didn't know all this was going on with her school until he caught her trying to herself. So he got her out of that school, and he got her some help, and she, according to him, is fine. So and there's other stories. There was this one mom who said that the school came up with a gender plan. It was talking about where her child was going to sleep in overnight trips. So that, just beyond the gender stuff, you are trying to cause this division between a parent and child, and then you gain enough trust that you want to take the child an overnight trip, and then you're saying that the child isn't even going to sleep in the bunk room with the girls if they don't want to, that they will be amongst a bunch of other boys and stuff. So I got heated, like reading all this stuff and learning all that stuff at the time. But it was a much needed bill. And so Disney at first were like kind of neutral about it, but they were saying like, we want to affect change through their art. Basically, they were subtly saying it. um and that's where they continue to make the difference. But that wasn't good enough for many of their employees, so they came out harder. They're like, well, we're going to devote our funds to trying to get this overturned. So at that point in time, I was like, oh, so you guys are like evil, like you want to devote the money that people spend on Disney to make it so that the parents don't have this say in their kids' upbringing and their mental health, their education. That's what you're doing. That's what Disney's doing. Disney has cartoon mice and singing, birds and dancing broomsticks and all kinds of stuff. Like, you want to get into the market of being anti-family and causing a divide between the parent and the child. That doesn't sound like a great idea. And that's essentially where a lot of my you know what, I'm not supporting Disney mentality came from. And there's other reasons, like within the actual content of them doing woke stuff, but that was a big, like, you know what, I'm done with you guys. So is there an opportunity for them to kind of earn back that support? They gotta, They got to do better, be better. So anyway, let's get to this article. Happy birthday, Adam. The invisible hand just got slapped. Below, let me skip down a little bit. This year marks the 300th anniversary of Adam Smith, the iconic figure behind the theory of free markets, or of what we have since come to call capitalism. Born in June 1723, Smith went on to explain the invisible hand of the market worked as people exercised their choices between certain products. It can shape economies and challenge whole governments. One company in particular appears to be learning that lesson. In recent filings, Disney appears concerned that the invisible hand of Adam Smith is effectively giving the House of Mouse the middle finger. In a new corporate disclosure, Disney acknowledges that its controversial political and social agenda is costing the company and shareholders. In its annual SEC report, Disney acknowledges that we face risk relating to misalignment with public and consumer taste and preferences for entertainment, travel, and consumer products. In an implied nod to Smith, the company observes that the success of our businesses depends on our ability to consistently create compelling content, and that generally our revenues and profitability, oh, I can't say this word. Am I saying it correctly? Profitability are adversely impacted when our entertainment offerings and products, as well as our methods to make our offerings and products available to consumers, do not achieve sufficient consumer acceptance. Further, consumers' perceptions of our position on matters of public interest, including our efforts to achieve certain of our environmental and social goals, often differ widely and present risk to our reputation and brands. Disney and other companies have previously ignored consumer backlash over corporate campaigns, such as Disney's opposition to Florida's parental rights and education law, which I just mentioned. Corporate officials have avoided political controversies and focused on selling their products and services rather than viewpoints. Disney has reportedly lost $1 billion just on 4 of its recent woke movie flops, productions denounced by critics as pushing political agendas or storylines, yet until now, the company has continued to roll out underperforming movies as revenue has dropped. What's more, Disney stars persist in bad mouthing its fabled storylines and undermining its new productions. The company admits that it has suffered a continued slide in impressions, and that is viewership by 14%. For shareholders, it may seem counterintuitive that corporate executives would trade off profits for political or social agendas. However, it does serve as a rationale for individual corporate executives who are professionally advanced when they champion such causes. For example, when Alyssa uh, Heinerschild, vice president of marketing for Bud Light, pledged to drop Bud Light's fratty reputation and embrace inclusivity. She was heralded by colleagues, even though her move went on to take the brand as a whole. Indeed, Bud Light has still not recovered from the loss of billions in profits, market share, and overall market value. So, um, I'm gonna pause it there, but let me scroll back up so you guys want to go ahead and finish the rest of the article. But Disney is facing a lot of issues. It has been facing a lot of issues for a minute, and I'm not surprised in the least bit. um, Lightyear bombed, and which is funny because Chris Evans was said he'll be so happy when I guess the intolerant people who don't want to see that movie die out like dinosaurs. And that same weekend, I think they lost to Jurassic World, perhaps. um, yeah. So you can't just rag on and dump on parents, excuse me, who take their kids to see those movies. Uh, and say things like you can't wait till they die. You just expect that they will happily spend their money on it. You can't expect that. Strange Worlds, which wasn't even like I don't think marketed very well either. That movie didn't do well. They had a lot of issues, and they've had issues this year as well. Miss Marvel, I mean the Marvels was a flop. Um, for lots of reasons. And you could say, I really like the movie. Well, bad word of mouth or good word of mouth or whatever is irrelevant if people don't want to see the movie in the first place. So people are not giving it a chance. Now there's plenty of reviewers who were excited to go and watch it so they could ream on it like Nerdrotic and stuff. It was like Christmas to those guys. Uh bashing Captain Marvel is like a sport to those people, and some of them got big channels for like content of like trashing bad TV shows. So many people hate watch stuff nowadays. Um, and it's good content, I guess. I mean, watch hate watch reviews, I guess. So people will go and they'll go watch it, so they'll have something to say. But it did look interesting to me. It didn't look appealing to me, and I don't want to support Disney. I don't want to do it. I don't have the love for the brands that I used to. I big into comic books. My family big into comic books. I love Star Wars, all that stuff. They've, I like. I wouldn't call myself a Disney adult, but um, I'm an adult that likes Disney and the cartoons and stuff. But I think if you're a Disney adult, that's like a special sort of dedication that I just don't have. But I like the Disney films and stuff, but I don't want to support this brand because I feel like there's a target on my back, and I feel like there's a target on the backs of my parents, and they don't like our values, they don't like us, and they resent us. They resent the fact that we built them money, that we built their empire with our money and stuff, and and they are more than willing to let us know that they have total disdain for us. So do people have a bit of Shadafornia when Disney fails? I think so. Um, because that's why so many people watch the hate watch stuff or go to the hate watch. Um, but people didn't like the Ant-Man movie that came out. People like the Guardians of the Galaxy film. Um, people did really like the Spider-Man film that came out. The Doctor Strange movie people weren't too crazy about. Wish just came out and is not doing well. Um, and that's not something that it didn't look interesting. So many people had reviews of like just listening to the snippet of a song that Chris Pine sang, and Chris Pine is the villain. If you don't know anything about Wish, like just going on the trailer, maybe some of you've seen it, I haven't seen it, but in the trailer there's a girl who's going to be the apprentice for the king. The king is a sorcerer, handsome sorcerer voiced by Chris Pine, and people on their 18th birthday, they give the king their wishes, and and then when they give the king the wish, they forget about the wish, and but he decides whose wishes he grants, and he will grant the wishes based on what is good for the country. And she finds that out, and she's like, oh, so all these wishes won't be granted? And he's like, no, I get to decide. And so many people are like, this doesn't sound like a terrible thing because you don't want to grant everyone's wishes. First of all, no one is entitled to have their wishes granted. And I don't know what the ultimate story is in the end, that you probably shouldn't give up your wishes anyway. You should go seek to make them come true yourself. So you know, some people said that they like the idea of handing over the wishes so they don't have all this anxiety about whether they will or won't come true, and or whatever. But I think you're still giving away a crucial part of yourself if you do that. So um I can see where where there should be a good message in there, but the idea of like these people's wishes won't be granted. Like, have you ever seen Bruce Almighty? If you haven't seen Bruce Almighty, it's starring Jim Carrey, and he and Morgan Freeman played God, and he made a deal with Bruce, and he gave him the power of God, um just to basically operate within like his city or whatever. So he used it for selfish gain, all kinds of different stuff. So then he started getting annoyed because he kept hearing these buzzing and stuff, and he's like, those are people's prayers, you got to answer people's prayers. And so instead of just like listening to prayers one at a time and dealing with them, he just decides to like mass grant people's prayers. And it led to like a mini apocalypse in the town because everybody hit the lotto. And so people were upset you win the lotto and everyone wins it. So what do you get, like $1 if that? So it just caused all this havoc. So he realized, that he can't be God. But uh the big message is that you can't always get what you want, and it's sometimes good that you don't always get what you want. So um I it didn't doesn't look appealing. The music didn't sound great. The art style was you know, it did tickle my fancy when I saw the trailer, even if I wasn't like anti Disney. It did appeal to me. So they didn't do too high over the Thanksgiving weekend. People opted to go see Hunger Games and the Napoleon movie that came out. So Wish isn't doing well. Little Mermaid didn't do well. A lot of people really like Little Mermaid. A lot of people really didn't like Little Mermaid. Man, I talked to my older sister about Little Mermaid, and she was very passionate about it in the dislike column of different things. You know, I, it's amazing to me how many people are upset that song about the chef song when he's trying to kill Sebastian. So many people are upset that song wasn't in there. It's definitely not my favorite song. It's probably my least favorite song in the movie. And some people say it was the best, like the best song, or at least the best song next to like Poor Unfortunate Souls or something. I'm like, what? But people liked Little Mermaid, didn't like Little Mermaid, but the fact of the matter is, it costs a lot to make, and it costs a lot to advertise. The advertisement was everywhere. They didn't quite make back everything that they needed to be successful on that film. So they've had a rough year, and people aren't buying up, Disney Plus. Marvel isn't the hot thing that it used to be. The MCU is failing, as they call it, and they're determined to lead with activism and agendas and DEI, and like, oh, does it have this many women in it? Does it have this many gay people in it? Like the South Park made fun of Kathleen Kennedy recently and was like, put a woman in it, make her gay, make her lame, is their mantra. So are people going to wake up and say money is more important than these dumb crusades? I don't know. I don't know. People really like their virtue, and people are driven by their virtue, and the only way to maybe stop them is to, I don't think them just losing money. I think we're at a scary point where people care more about the fake virtue than they do about the money, because at least the money's business, you can understand. But it's like they're driven by such ideology that nothing can even make sense. It's very religious. But we all have to keep turning our nose up at dumb stuff that they seek after and make it unfashionable. There was a report about like BlackRock being upset or something about some stuff in about like Ron DeSantis in Florida, and and how people are see DEI as toxic and stuff. So there is a silver lining that like we can make a change, but it's going to take a group effort of everyone still saying, hey, we don't like the woke stuff. We want to prioritize good stories. And you could have a story that just because there's a woman in it or female lead or different causes, either it might be environmental or other stuff, like that doesn't mean that it's necessarily woke or something. It's how you pursue the thing that really is bothersome is how people will pursue an agenda that doesn't even feel organic in the story. It'll feel so forced, like so often. Like the moment in Endgame when all of a sudden all the women were together, and it's like, I know people are happy about that and want to clap because there's a lot of women like suddenly, but it just doesn't seem reasonable that all of them would be gathered together at that moment in the film. So and that's a small thing, a small example. but if we can feel your agenda dripping off the pages, you might want to step back. Like an example I give is of something that really annoyed me. A lot of people were taking the Punisher, like his logo where it's like a skull, um, and combining it with like Black the Blue or something for some reason. And I don't know, this is something that people just did on the internet. And so people at Marvel were upset or whatever. So instead of, I don't know, sending cease and desist orders to protect their logo, they just opted that we're going to change the Punisher's logo. I don't know if it's still changed. The story was happened like maybe a year or two ago, and it was like a piratey looking skull logo. It was bizarre. And I'm like, you're going to abandon this iconic logo because people on the internet decided to start using it, associating positivity toward cops? How much do you hate people? How much do you hate people on the right and police and all that stuff to be like, hey, let's change our iconic character because we don't want it associated with that? Just really bizarre. Really bizarre. Um, but I still think Disney has a long way to go. I don't foresee them changing up things anytime. I don't know what they're gonna do with a Marvel because MCU's basically taken over. People are not buying it. People are not liking it. You know, I've heard some good things. People have had a positive reaction to the Loki series, but a lot of other stuff, it's just taking. It feels like they don't even have the magic, you know, like the smart storytelling or anything. It maybe it's just because they hire activists who fail upwards, who are more concerned with telling, um, I don't know, pushing a narrative than writing a story. But it's really seems like they just don't have the competency to put that spark back right now. Can they do it? I don't know. It's gonna take some time. Um, but in the meantime, it's important to support other people as they create stories and build new brands, build new things to love. Because I don't, I don't know if Disney's gonna act right within our lifetime. I don't know, but that doesn't mean that we can't build new good things that focus on good stories. But that's all today. That's all today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I do have a video that I'm dropping at 9 p.m. If you saw my post about it, um, it's about Candace Owens and Ben and their whole drama. I know I've talked about it and I've written about it, but you know some of you don't want to read, so I made a video, and you guys, you know, it took a minute to make it because um it's like an hour and 20 minutes long. It goes through like the whole entire timeline. It goes back to like when Candace was accused of anti-Semitism because of her comments on nationalism and Hitler and stuff, and why she's defensive about calling people anti-Semitic when it's not true or something. Then like Kanye and what happened with Kanye, her defense of Kanye and all the crazy stuff that he said, and Ben Shapiro speaking out against Candace at that time, and then going into present day with this conflict and the things that she tweeted and things that were in interviews and when she interviewed people and different um the Ben's reaction, her reaction on Tucker, it just goes through all of it. And I don't think I've seen anyone have a comprehensive as of a timeline as I do. So if you want to know that drama, it definitely explains it. Now I have a bias on who I think is right and wrong. If you've been watching me for a while, you know the answer, but I try to be, you know, I'm critical and I'm trying to be fair, but just because I try to be fair doesn't mean that I don't have an opinion. So you guys can let me know yours. So anyway, that'll be at 9 o'clock. It's already like geared up to go, so you can join the queue if you want to find the video of it. And I guess you'll be notified when it goes live. But 9 p.m. Eastern time, that video would drop. Also check out different merch and stuff that I have available on blacktnews.com, different videos, well, different shirts and mugs and so on. Check out my books that I have available on Amazon. I have them on paperback. I have them, like, of course, God is blatantly against abortion. That's available paperback and ebook. Um, I have, 17 books altogether that you guys can check out and get. So go ahead and check out my store. And thank you to those who have picked up a book and liked it and reviewed and so on. So, um, hope your kids, enjoy it, or if it's for you, hope you enjoy it. um, because I do write for like young adults and uh, also middle grade chapter books. I do have picture books that I've written, and I cannot wait until there's like actual like pictures done. I'm not making the illustrations for my other stuff I made, like the illustrations for Super Kid, but I have one book called Bigger that my youngest sister is working on. And since we're on the topic, my youngest sister, if you are in Michigan, or close to it, I know some people are coming out of state for it, like Ohio, and my sister's having an art showcase in downtown Auburn Hills this Saturday. The tickets are $15. There's going to be food and drinks and stuff. But it's going to go through a showcase of stuff that she's been working on the past 8 years and her talent, how she's grown. It's called the particular showcase is called Psalms, Proverbs, and Parables, because a lot of times she's inspired by different scriptures. So she's very talented. She's the one who actually made my book cover, or at least did the art for it. For my book, of course, guys, blatantly against abortion. So I'll show you guys that again. So she's the one who did this beautiful illustration of the hand of God reaching out to the baby there. So I ask that you support her if you can. If you are not in the area, they are doing stuff online. You still can order stuff online. So we're gonna have a great time. And if you're local, I hope to see you there. And her website is tinasexportraits.com. So some people said they're looking forward to tonight. I'm glad you're looking forward to tonight because it took a long time to edit that video. And man, I had some issues rendering. The first time I rendered it, there was a glitch and like the audio just kept cutting out at different moments. And then I had to re-render it, and then my computer was just like on fire, not like literally on fire, but it was really hot. And it was because I had turned off my fans, because there's an issue with my fan or whatever. Sometimes it'll get really loud, and I think there's something loose in it or something. So sometimes I'll just turn off the fan or have it on silent or something, and it needed to be on overboost when it was rendering. So I finally got it done last night, and because I wasn't actually going to put it up on Saturday, but hopefully it answers a lot of questions and it's entertaining. So and fair. If you like what I do here, please consider going to blacktnews.com and leave a donation on the website. It does cost a streaming robo website, all that stuff, so you guys get support. Thank you very much for doing that, and thank you to those who have already done that. God bless you guys, and I will see you